So rumor has it, if you stare at the eye long enough, you will become one of them. What's going on, guys? My name is Anthony, or Big B Stats, and here are some piggy things that you should know about the Eye of Insolence. So I'm going to be breaking down everything pertaining to the eye. This will also be split up in chapters, and we're going to get deep dive into it. So when you leave today's video, you will know everything you need to know thus far about the eye. So let's start out by, what does the word insolence even mean? Maybe you've heard this word, you see this word a lot in Piggy, and you have no idea what the word insolence means. And insolence by definition means rude, have bad manner, or to be disrespectful. So now that we know what insolence actually means, now let's talk about our very first sighting of the eye, which can be found in Piggy Book 2, Chapter 4, The Safe Place, and it's right below the cart, which it is staring at a couple of players. Your group, Mimi, Giraffe, Pony, Georgie, and yourself right before you exit. Now this is the very first sighting of the eye, and also the cryptic note that again goes along with it, which we will be talking about later in the video, so make sure you stick around for that. Now the eye appears to be black and orange, and it also has a question mark in it. Now you're probably wondering, where did this eye even come about? Why have eyes start appearing around Piggy? Well, let's do a little bit of backstory and take it to the root of where this all began. So this began during a spooky hunt where we had to summon Mr. Stitchy. Now Mr. Stitchy, I believe, is still going to be a big part of the story, and Mr. Stitchy has a very similar eye to the Eye of Insolence. However, it turns out that Mr. Stitchy's eye does not have a question mark in it. So is it the exact eye from Mr. Stitchy? No. Does it resemble Mr. Stitchy's eye? Yes. Now us, the player, did summon Mr. Stitchy, and in my theory, I think that is what started it all off. The fact that we summon Mr. Stitchy, we have set this storyline up to go further ahead down a tunnel that maybe we do not want to go down. So let's go ahead and talk about this. We're going to talk about all the notes that also line up with this on why this is related to Mr. Stitchy. So it all starts out with notes that were found during this spooky hunt, and we're gonna go over all the notes now. So the first note that we see says, "Do not draw the house with light. It will draw him too." Now we are thinking, of course, this is related to Mr. Stitchy. There were also other notes that indicated things like this, saying, "I gave him a face. I was his only friend." Also notes that were found in the carnival. Someone began to disrupt the countryside. The descriptions of the witnesses matched his look. I never saw him again. Also, when he learned of my conditions, he grew sad and frustrated and he left. Also, a very important note which says, "Light the beacon, summon it." Now this is very interesting because this relates a lot to the note that we find in the sewers map, and that also talks about the light the beacon and summon it. So it only makes sense that this links to the Eye of Insolence due to the fact that these notes are still appearing from the moment we summon Mr. Stitchy, and pretty much all the time when we see the Eye of Insolence around the map, they're the same type of notes. So those are all the notes that are similar and really linked to Mr. Stitchy and the Eye of Insolence. Now it doesn't just stop at the notes. The thing is, Mr. Stitchy has been watching us, the player, throughout chapters 2. So I do find it ironic that the eye is watching us, and then also there were times where Mr. Stitchy was appearing in maps like the house, also alleys, also the school. So it was very interesting that we have eyes popping up around the map, we have Mr. Stitchy popping up around the map, and again we have these notes that really correlate with Mr. Stitchy. So this is how Mr. Stitchy and the eye are pretty much being connected. Now, there are some very important notes around the map, particularly in the sewers. However, I want to talk to you about all the locations that we actually see the Eye of Insolence. First off, how do we know that this is actually called the Eye of Insolence? Well, in chapter 5 in book 2, the sewers, there's a note in a classroom on the chair, and it says, "The insolence calls my name. I will stay down here even if the workers wish to flood it. I will devote myself to the eye." Now, we have some theories on who this is. We will also be breaking down some members that are possibly a part of this eye cult, so make sure again you stick around. Now, some locations where this could be found is quite interesting because it even goes as far as being in another game. So, locations where the Eye of Insolence are found. We first have our location again in chapter 4, the safe place. We also have the location in chapter 5, the sewers. There's about 2 or 3 locations there. Now, in Piggy book 2 chapter 6, the factory, this is where the most amount of eyes can be found because the Eye of the Insolence is watching the TSP members. Now, how do we know they are watching them? Because all the TSP members seem to be stuck. You have Kitty, who looks like bricks have fell on her. Katie is trapped behind a fire. Someone has stolen a ladder from Pandy. It looks like Felix is stuck behind a fence, and much more. And I must admit, the TSP members are not innocent. They are more of the insolence side. So it seems that they are being watched by the Eye for what they have done. Now, it doesn't just stop there. I did say that this even goes to other games. Yes, so if you go over to Piggy Intercity, which is connected to Piggy, there's even an Eye of Insolence there in the school in the basement. So it's not just in Piggy. Again, it is very related, but there is a eye on the wall in Piggy Intercity 2. Now, the big question is this a cult? Is this a group that worships the Eye? And I would like to say the answer is yes. You have a lot of characters here that are saying they are devoted to the Eye, at least on the note, and we've been seeing more than one character. So let's talk about some possible characters that could be in this group that is devoted to the Eye. And some possible characters that we have is that Mr. Stitchy is possibly the leader. We also have the Mary skin, who actually turns out to be a puppet. So someone is controlling the Mary skin. Now, we also have Alphys, which would put us at a member number 3, which Alphys was in the sewers. Now, this ties into the note that was in the classroom saying, "I will stay down here even if the workers wish to flood it. I will devote myself to the Eye." So this could mean that this was Alphys, and Alphys actually devoted himself to the Eye and was trapped down here and got flooded. Now, it almost appears that the Eye of Insolence are almost giving life in a way to players that are actually non-existent. Let's say that Alphys actually flooded and died. The Eye of Insolence now takes over Alphys and is able to kind of control Alphys. So this is very, very interesting here. Now, we also have another member in chapter 6, which could possibly be Kowali. Now, the reason why all these could be members is all due to the eyes. Now, I must admit, Kowali and Mr. Stitchy have almost the same exact eye as the Eye of Insolence. Now, does this put them on the top? Like, are they close to the leaders? Now, there also is someone controlling Mary, and I do not think that Mary is a leader in this at all. And I don't think Alphys also is. So if I had to take a guess, I would say the 2 top people, in my opinion right now, is Mr. Stitchy and Kowali. They all have orange eyes, these members here, but again, the main 2 we are looking at is Kowali and Mr. Stitchy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they were all down in the classroom worshiping this eye, and then it got flooded and a couple people stayed there to devote themselves to the eye and did not want to leave. So those are some members. We also have a lot of the eye locations, some backstory on Mr. Stitchy, all the notes, the first appearance of the eye too. Now, let's talk about some of the cryptic notes decoded which relate to the Eye of Insolence. Then we are going to talk about Pony after. Now remember, we talked about this scrambled note that was found at the very start of the sighting of the eye, and this note reads, which if you decode it reads, "The insolence watches thy crimes, those that will haunt thou for lifetimes." Now, the crimes, which would explain a lot why the TSP members are being watched by the insolent. We also had a tweet out from Minitoon, the creator of Piggy, which was also something that needed to be decoded, and it turns out that it reads, "The eye doth watch from the underneath. The eye doth seek those who are meek." Now it's funny that they talk about the eye being underneath when literally at the bottom of the map in the sewers, there is an eye in the classroom at the lowest level. So I feel like, yes, all this started in the sewers in chapter 5 in Piggy book 2. And if you do not know what meek means, it says the eye doth seek those who are meek. By definition, meek means someone that is quiet or gentle, which could also relate to Pony a lot. Now, the fact that the eye is watching and controlling people possibly, this also brings me back to a cryptic note that was found in the early chapters in Piggy book 1. Inside of the school on the board, there was something that was cryptic that needed to be decoded. And it says, "I feel everything I do. I can't control my actions. I can't help myself. My mind yells for help, but my body does not agree. I wish the world would understand." And that was on the teacher's chalkboard. Now that could of course be relating to the infected or being controlled by something or someone. Now that brings us around to one person where the insolence has actually spoken through, and this person is in our group, and this is Pony we are talking about. So in the safe place, there is an actual secret sort of cutscene where Pony says, "The insolence watches." Huh? What did I just say? A strange voice just came into my head, but I don't remember what it told me. Now this is very, very key. Why would this voice come to Pony? Now this also brings us around to what some of these cryptic notes actually said. The eye doth watch from underneath. The eye doth seek those who are meek. I think from our experience with Pony, yes, he has a massive secret that he has not yet told us. However, Pony is quite meek. Now we also know that Pony did do something, because there was a note in the factory which says, "We're not the evil people," right? I mean, the Pony did a number on us when he deserted us with it. So who knows if they are talking about the eye, which is why the eye is now watching them, and Pony did something. So Pony is definitely involved with this. Also, the correlation that Pony has an all-white eye and Mr. Stitchy has an all-white eye. Mary also has an eye that is messed up. So it turns out that anyone that almost seems to be related with this Eye of Insolence, one eye of theirs seems to be a bit weird. But I think that concludes today's video on some things you should know about Roblox Piggy Book 2, The Eye of Insolence. Comment down below if I did miss anything, and what are some of your theories on this. Also comment down some things you think I should cover that you should know in Piggy. Maybe I will bring you some videos more in depth on certain characters. This is quite interesting and fun, so hopefully you did enjoy today's video. If you did, feel free to leave a like on it and subscribe for more. It is much appreciated, and if you want to show your further support to me, you can always use star code BIGB2 when you're purchasing Robux or Premium. And I will see you in the next video.